welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to take you along to a hiking trip with my boyfriend and a friend of ours. We three love the nature and go hiking, so this is one of our favorite activities to do together. So we were really looking forward to this day. I am always the mom of these two, so as a good mom, I had to make some sandwiches for them to have during the hike and make sure that they don't get hungry. Afterwards, I packed my own bag with some snacks for myself and I filled up my Stanley with nice warm tea. After packing all up, I went to finish up getting ready. I don't really like wearing a lot of makeup when I do sports, so I just put some hydrating cream with SPF and some mascara to light up my face. And I definitely need my hair up while being active, so this time I braided my hair. Then it was time to say goodbye to my cat Myrtle. Even if it's a couple of hours, I will be missing her. And last but not least, toilet paper. You never know when you will need it in the nature, trust me. We got hyped before leaving the house, and then I had to give one last glance to my baby girl Myrtle. So our goal of the day was to get to see the beach, but not necessarily get there. This is the location of the map from the parking as reference, and walking from there it's technically 7.1 kilometers, but as we also want to go off-route, we were fine with just being able to see the beach from far. But remember, in most parts of national parks it's not allowed to go off-route, so you really gotta look out for the signs and the fences, since some areas are fragile and cannot be walked in. These are the ruins of the Brederode Castle, one of the oldest castles in the Netherlands. It was originally built in the 13th century for a powerful noble family, and it was first destroyed in the 14th century during a civil war. It was then rebuilt and later damaged again during the 80 Years' War when Spanish troops set it on fire, and after that it was left ruins and never fully restored. There are many ways you can get into the park, and we went in through Bloemendaal, which is a very peaceful Dutch town next to Haarlem, and it has beautiful nature since it's surrounded by dunes, forests, and it's so close to the beach. After crossing the town into the park, we sat there to have our first snack, and I'm really glad to see my boys were enjoying the sandwiches. We got to the startpunt Blekenberg, where some people park their car and start their journey into the park, and luckily it was really quiet because it was so early in the morning. The whole park is really well signed, so there's barely any chance that you can actually get lost. And we saw so many berries. If I'm not mistaken, these specifically are a kind called hawthorn, and they're small and very red. They're edible and birds really like them. The trees are mostly thorny and they bloom white flowers in the spring, which they later turn into full red berries in autumn. There were lots of mushrooms next to the path since it's the season for them. These in specific are brown amanitas, which have dots on the top part and are very tall, and they're found in forested dune areas and are edible when cooked. But you gotta be really careful because there's another kind of amanita species that is highly toxic and looks very similar, just more bright red, and it's called the Amanita muscaria. It's basically the mushrooms that look like the iconic fairy tale mushroom. Later on, we went through this massive tree which had a beautiful shape. This kind of trees are common here, and they're mostly old oaks, beeches, and Scots pines. We did another stop, and my shoes were already so dirty by then. I should probably think to get dark color hiking shoes next time.
Okay. Ah,
Show me your pine cone.
my mother gave it to me.
Oh, beautiful. Family of pine cones.
All different sizes.
We finally got to see the sea, but we wanted to see it a bit closer, so we kept walking. And then we finally saw animals. This is one of the iconic animals of the park. It's the Highland cattle, and it's originally from Scotland. And they help the dunes by eating grass and plants, which stops the bushes from taking over and keeps the dunes and fields open and healthy. They're very large animals in a reddish brown color, although sometimes they can be dark or lighter, and their long hair helps them survive the cold and wet conditions of the country. These species are social animals. They live in herds and they have very strong bonds between each other. You don't really see them alone, and they like resting together in the dunes. They're also very calm around people, and I can totally tell because we got super close to them and they don't really mind. But well, I have to say my friend did almost get attacked by one, so I guess he learned the hard way to still keep the distance. After some more walking and our friend just not getting over the fact that he almost died, according to his point of view, we saw the hill we wanted to go up to, so that was our goal for the last break. On the way there, we found blackberries. They start red and slowly turn dark as they ripen, and they can be actually eaten. They're very nice and sweet. They grow in thorny bushes, so you gotta watch out if you take some. Getting into the hill, we had to be careful not to get into one of these spider webs. They were huge and there were so many everywhere. You could see this one got a bug in it, so that was pretty cool. And this is the best view of the whole hike, where I felt like I was in a Lord of the Rings movie. I found a snail, and I believe this is a brown garden snail, but I'm not an expert. And they're most active in the night or after the rain, so it was funny seeing it at that time of the day and such a sunny day. And despite being such small creatures, they can live up to 7 years in the wild. That's crazy. We finally got to the top of the hill, and there was a spot calling our names, so obviously we had to sit down and take in the views. And there we finished our snacks and talk about life for a while. And I also finished my tea. Up there we also found some bones from an animal. It looked like a goat. Sometimes old bones from animals that lived in the park naturally remain after years, and it's basically part of the ecosystem cycle. Bones like these provide food and shelter for insects and small animals, so it's important to leave them the way they are. As you can see, we find so many kind of berries already. These are the sea buckthorns, which are bright orange, small and round, and they also grow in thorny bushes. They're common in dunes and sandy soils, and they're food source for birds, as their bushes help stabilize sand dunes for the roots. And I found a beautiful untouched dandelion. These are yellow flowers that turn in this fluffy head afterwards. And bees, butterflies, and other insects feed on the flowers, and then the seeds spread and create new plants. Of course, I had to blow on it and make a wish. We also saw a little frog, and we couldn't get her to leave the bush, unfortunately, so I couldn't identify her. We went to say goodbye to the cattle, and after a lot of walking, we saw the castle from the beginning of the excursion, and then we knew finally we almost made it to the car. This is the route we did. I don't have the exact kilometers that we walked, but given that we did around 17,000 steps, I would say like 15 kilometers, given the dune climbs and all. And with 2 tired boys to take home to, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!